Hey everybody, welcome back to another action-packed, exciting episode of Scotty's Record Shop. Before we get too into the subject at hand, I want to say hello and welcome to our new subscribers. Every single video, we end up getting 2 or 3 more subscribers. It's building very slowly, but it's building. This channel is growing, and I'm very happy. You guys, I say it every single video, and I'm going to continue to say it. I am very grateful for each and every one of you. Alrighty, subject at hand. I debated whether to even do this or not because I don't know if I can. I'm going to try though. I've thought about this for a while. I am going to make a case that the Beatles US Revolver, not the Revolver, not the UK, but the US Revolver, is a valid, wonderful release. And a lot of people are like, this is been watching a lot of ranking videos. I love ranking videos. See what you guys think about stuff. And people will talk about, they'll do the Capitol albums. And by the way, I'm going to be doing the Capitol albums. I'm going to be doing it a little differently though than some of you have been. But people will get to this album and sometimes they'll even put it low on the list because it's like, oh, the real album has been castrated. This is horrible. This is useless. This was sacrilegious. The nerve of them to take 3 John Lennon songs off of it. Oh, God. Well, that's what happened. It is true. It did have more songs on it, the UK did. I'm not saying that the John Lennon songs weren't really good, maybe even great. I watched one person and they had a valid excuse for really crapping on this album. One of the 3 songs that were removed from the from the UK album to make the US album was one of their favorite songs of all time. I get that, okay, but I'm going to make a case for this, but I'm going to lead up to it a little bit. Now, let's go back, as scary as this is, almost 40 years now. I think that it was either late 87 or early 88 that we got the second batch of the Beatles catalog being issued on CD for the first time, and this is relevant. And I can't remember. I believe it was early 88. But anyway, that was a really frustrating for me, a very frustrating growth period, I guess, especially when the first 4 albums came out. See, I was up here in Maine, the state of Maine, living my own life. Actually, I was living in Massachusetts at the time. I'm sorry. I was living in Massachusetts at the time, living my own life with my wife, and all of a sudden they're going to be putting out the first 4 Beatle albums on CD. And I got very excited, and I thought, it's going to really be great having Meet the Beatles, you know, and Beatles' second album, and something new, and you know what happened. These weird albums came out that I didn't know what the hell this was. Please me? With the Beatles? What the hell is this? I didn't realize, I'm just trying to say, I did not realize that there was a difference between the US catalog and for the most part, for the rest of the world. So it was like, oh my God. And I was like, okay, I'll get used to this. I am still partial to the US catalog. I just am. I'm not saying that the US stuff is better per se. It's a personal preference thing. Now we fast forward a little bit to this album and the castration of this album and the horrible, evil things that Dave Dexter did to this album, even though it wasn't Dave Dexter. Dave was gone by this point in time. And the last thing Dave Dexter did was Rubber Soul. And a lot of people were like, Rubber Soul, the US version of Rubber Soul it could be, I know it's sacrilegious for some people to say this, or for some people to hear this, but could be the US Rubber Soul could be better than the UK version. I think it's better. I think it flows better. Now, some of the points that I'm going to make about why this, first of all, let's go back in time again. I'm going all over the place. 1966, okay? It's August of 66? And we get these. The US and the Mono. By the way, I prefer, which one's the mono here? That's the stereo, I believe. Looking at it upside down and I'm blind. Yeah, I believe this is the mono. Yeah, the mono. I prefer the mono of this. Just saying, the U.S. version. But we get these, and of course, I was like 3 months old at the time, so it's not like I'm speaking from personal experience. But I know a lot of people that were around and were buying this, and they were like, "Holy crap!" We thought they couldn't top themselves after Rubber Soul, and they gave us this masterpiece, this amazing album. And this was before most people in America didn't know that the catalogs were different. A lot of the kids that were just buying these records, or young adults, were just like, "It's a new Beatles album. This is great." So they bought it, and it was a masterpiece. It's kind of funny how this went from being a masterpiece to being a castrated disgrace. Think about that for a little while. Now, of course, the 3 songs that they took off, okay, all John Lennon songs, and of course that pisses all the John Lennon fans right off. But here's the funny thing. 3 months before that, we got them on this. Okay? Yes, this is an original, by the way. This is, well, not original, but this is my butcher cover. It's an opportunity to show. You know? Yeah, I've got one. Yeah, whatever. But anyway, I'm proud of it. But we got the 3 songs on this. Now, John Lennon hated the fact, in America they put out 37 albums of ours, even though we only put out 12. I kind of dug that in a way. As a collector, it was like, when I was a kid, I remember getting this for the first time and thinking, crap, this is a great album. Come on. This is a great album. Most Beatle fans, if maybe you have to look around to make sure a purist isn't standing behind you, but you got to admit this is a damn good album. And what's on here? Dr. Roberts. I'm only sleeping. Oh God, we got them 3 months before the UK did. Everybody's like, well, the American market got ripped off. No, they didn't. We got it 3 months before you and the UK did. And they're different mixes. By the way, I prefer the mono version of this. I think this is a new dimension, full dimension, stereo. Okay, this is stereo, but my butcher, I wouldn't be blessed enough to have a stereo version of this. But we love this album. Now I'm gonna go one other thing here. This is sentimental. This is a me thing. This is not you, but a personal thing. When I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I maybe someday I'll get into this a little bit more without making this video super long, but I was given, and I don't remember where or how, but I just remember when I was 4 or 5 years old, there were some Beatle albums, and I guess they were mine because I played them and I destroyed them. One of them was Revolver. The other was Rubber Soul, and they were all in this sleeve. They were in somebody had gotten rid of them. This was only like 4 years after this had come out, because it was about 1970 or so. But I remember having a Rubber Soul sleeve, but inside that sleeve was Rubber Soul, Revolver, and the first disc. For years I thought there was only one disc when I was little, to the White Album. And to this day, I adore that first disc of the White Album. But anyway, the point is from the time that I was 4 years old, I heard this. It's so ingrained into my psyche. It's just there. And people are like, again, to this whole you castrated it. You've done that. You know what? The greatest song of this era, I'm talking 66 anyway, the greatest song John ever wrote ends this album. Tomorrow Never Knows. They didn't take it. As a matter of fact, it was recorded when Capitol wanted 3 songs. They needed 3 songs for a new project. George Martin was like, we'll give them these 3. because George Martin and the Beatles thought lesser, not that they're bad songs, thought lesser of those three songs than Tomorrow Never Knows. And I'm glad that they kept it on here because this album is kind of a groundbreaking record. This is an amazing record. The two songs that you get from John on here are fabulous, wonderful songs. Also, I'll be honest with you, if I listen to and this is only me, I know this is crazy, and if people are going, if you don't think I'm nuts already for this video, you're gonna think I'm really nuts. I really dig the sound of the mono U.S. Revolver. Very punchy. I found it punchy. Some people are like, it's muddy. I find it punchy. I kind of, again, a lot of this stems around nostalgia, but again, growing up with this, I like the way the track listings run. Whenever I listen to the proper Revolver now that we can all get, that has been out for almost 40 years, which is really blowing my mind, on CD. When I'm Only Sleeping or Dr. Roberts or whatever comes on, it jolts me to this day. I'm not like, oh God, I hate that song. Press skip or something. I don't do that. They're really good songs. They're not the best songs John Lennon ever wrote, though. I encourage you, if you have a copy of this, sit down, put yourself back into 1978 or wherever you want to put yourself back into prior to 1987 or 88 when this came out. When we in America found out that there was a longer album. Put yourself there and listen to this and tell me that this isn't a masterpiece. Even as it is. It's a masterpiece. Honestly, it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite. One of these days I'm going to be ranking, I mentioned I'm going to rank the US albums, which is really just going to basically be the albums we got here in America, including things like Abbey Road. We got Abbey Road here. They're not different than anybody else, but I'm going to rank them like that. But I'm going to include the US versions instead of the UK versions. Maybe someday I'll do the UK one too. This is going to be extremely high on that list. Even though it's castrated and it's a terrible travesty and it's all this stuff. Oh, God. Check it out. Enjoy it for what it is. It's a masterpiece. I stick up for this. I rest my case. Okay? Okay. Again, thank you so much for watching these silly videos. Let me know what you think. I know people are going to be like, you're nuts. And that's okay. Guess what? I am nuts. Nuts. I'm sitting here talking to a camera. Okay, I've got to be a little crazy. But I do appreciate it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think that this album is an awesome album, even though it's been shortened, right? Do you think so? I think you should. I hope you do. Remember, please like, subscribe, share. Let everybody know that Scotty's Record Shop is back in town and back on the air. All right? And until next time, everybody, peace and love.